Well, I hope there's plenty of packaging inside this one. Oh dear, here we go again. So a bit more again for the North American rakes. It was from the same buyer, same buyer, I'm the same buyer. The same seller as the last week's offerings. This one's a shell hopper, so I guess it was probably plastic pellets. I think these codes tell you what they carry, but it's a basic one but relatively detailed. I don't know, well, that one's a Bachmann. That actually has got a branding on it. A lot of these don't. But everything's there that's supposed to be there. And for £4, certainly a sight cheaper than trying to buy anything for the 00 gauge. This was another one. I think it was similar sort of money, £3.49. None of these were more. I think I had to pay a bit more for the one in the back, but yeah, plywood wagon. I nearly did get one of these the other week. It was a bit more money. Again, they're earlier ones, but been weighed up. It says made in Hong Kong, this one, so could have been an earlier time. Nice bit of weight to this one. I haven't got to try and take them apart and add any extra weight. This one's a wee bit light, but there is a metal plate through it. I believe it's some kind of kit, because you can see a little, this sort of hopper car. Those bits look like they're glued on as separate parts to give you the sort of effect. But what took me with this one is it's actually got the pipe detailing to remove the powder or whatever is transported in these. Tiny wheels on this one. Nicely detailed. And I think this one was £7.50, which compared to what we pay for 00 gauge is still quite a good price considering the condition and level of detail. I know they're not the high-end models, but I wouldn't be buying them if they were. It does seem a bit narrow, this one, but obviously it's the design of the particular wagon. Hopefully it'll be relatively stable. The weight's right down the bottom, but obviously I can't really hide anything underneath there unless I find some thin strips to fit in between the conicals. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how she runs on the track. So I think they were about, let's have a look. Yeah, so the total bill for 3 wagons was £22, which is cheaper than a VGA by Bachmann second hand. So yeah, if you're thinking of buy US, it's cheaper. I think if like I said before, I think if I was to start from scratch with nothing, I would go US because it's a cheaper option. Unless you buy the really old crappy Hornby stuff from way back when, but you can do better for the money. Right, the last of this week's arrivals is a job lot of Blocksignalling track accessories, I guess you could call them, in a good solid box. So I'll spare you all the opening. Hopefully everything. You can see quite a pile. Some haven't been opened. Now, one of the items is an LSC6, which is an ASAP1 infrared signal control common cathode. We have one of those. Two of those. 3 of those. Various little bags with the servo pieces on them. So the ASP one is a light aspect signal controller, infrared trigger. So that will operate a signal, which I've got a few in the offings. So we've got a few other bits here. I don't know, they look like homemade boards. You've got bits of a gate canal, some huge LEDs. Another pair of servos, which belong to all of this gubbins here, which has got a tiny little speaker, some LEDs. This is another level crossing signal controller. It looks like we've got various modules here. I don't know what that one is. It did say garage sounds and factory sounds, I think. Little sounder. Looks like another ASP1. Yep, so we've got 4 of those. A sequence timer, 2 of those. Give you an idea. Yeah, so we've just been on Blocksignalling's website just to check. The infrared light sequencers are £17 each. They're £17 each. And what else have we got? Some other bits. I'll have a look here. So we've got 1, 3. There 2 in there. Oh, it's reflecting on the foil. 3, 4, 5, 6 modules. All 17 quid a piece. All brand new, still in the packaging, bar one. I paid £43 for the lot, including the shipping. So you can imagine that's a fairly good deal already. Now you're taking the level crossing control is another £40 to £50 on its own. That starts to sound like a real good deal. And we've got the 4 controls here, so he's bought another set, I would say, which you just put splitter plugs in. We've got an infrared sensor. I have ordered a load more of these sensors for other circuits, because I have got some other Blocksignalling bits that I've bought in previous years. But they charge, I think, £5 for these sensors for a pair, and I've just bought 10 for under £4. That's empty. Big LEDs. So we've got some other bits here. They look like the bottom off of single arm controllers, so they're not a lot of use. It looks like we've got an 8-pin Digitrax SFX 004 with a capacitor on it. That could be handy. Let me just Google that one. Right, well, it's not an 8-pin, well, it is an 8-pin decoder, but it's not for motors. Just trying to find that little, I don't know whether that one originally came with it or one of these others. It's an DCC sound bug sound decoder. Digitrax Soundbug's ready decoders give you the flexibility to choose when to add sound to your locomotives. Originally produced as a plug-and-play for the DH165 series board replacement decoders, Soundbugs can be used to add sound to any decoder. Decoders that do not have Soundbug sockets will have to be wired. So I presume you'd have to piggyback it on an existing 8-pin decoder, or use it, say like, I suppose, the HST, where you've got a dummy power car that only sound would be provided. I don't know. Yeah, so that sounds quite interesting if it still works. So whether you'd need a capacitor stay alive function when it's basically an audio only. I've got 3 wires coming out, so presumably 2 of those are for the speaker. But they're $50 on their own, so that's a handy little thing. And I've got another one here that's got a solder resist underneath that blob, which is like the Hornby chips. So you can't identify the chip, but they're usually blown anyway. So we've got power going in and a little speaker module, and there's some other pads there, so that's probably another sound effect board pre-programmed, unless it's one of the Gauge Master ones that's been stripped out. I don't know, I've never looked at those. I've never gone for the Gauge Master ones because, quite frankly, you can build something for about 1/3 of the price. So we've got that, and then this, not quite sure what that is, can't see. One moment. Yeah, just have to check that little TO220 case. That's a 317, so it's a voltage regulator, so I would say they are probably for 12 volt in and then dropping down to 5 volts or something to power some of the accessories. So they're a little kit built Vero board thing. They might be a Merck project or something else similar. I have a couple of the old Penfold books that have them sort of projects, and then we've got this tiny little speaker as well. So as long as they all do something, we've done a good little deal there. So yeah, that one works.